Life is hectic, demanding, and doesn't stop. When honest with ourselves, we must confess we often don't know what the hell we're doing. The Larkcast is an ongoing conversation about the inclusive and mischievous nature of God's presence through the lens of all the things that make up this phenomenon we refer to as life. Astonishing grace and refreshing honesty collide right here for your weekly encouragement. And 3, 2, 1, and welcome to the Larkcast. Yes, welcome to the Larkcast, my friends. This is Russ, your host today, kicking things off with something that's often felt, but rarely said out loud. A lot of us are frustrated. Yes, I said it. Frustrated from trying to keep up the faith. Frustrated from pretending we're fine when we're not. Yeah. Frustrated with quiet times that don't quiet anything. Prayers that feel like voicemails God never checks. And frustrated with an idea of church with motivational speeches for people who are, I don't know, barely holding it together. Some of you have done everything right in the book, I should say, in the book Religion Scripted. Yeah, the devotionals, right? The groups, the services, the giving, the volunteering. Some of you have even led these efforts, as I did for years and years and years. And somehow you still feel hollow at times, right? Maybe even all the time. Others gave up trying a long time ago, but can't shake the hunch that Jesus was onto something real, right? Like something lighter. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. You're actually the reason I wrote this new book, All A Lark, that drops next Tuesday. Yes, All A Lark. Jesus' comically freeing vision of his Father in the life of faith drops next Tuesday, October 14th. Available on Amazon, anywhere in the world. It's crazy to say that out loud because it's been years in the making, like years. But it really began long before I started writing it, okay? It began the moment I realized that I should say that what I was handed, and most of us call faith, looks nothing like the freedom Jesus actually lived. It doesn't, right? Because somewhere along the way, the story of Jesus got hijacked by anxious overachievers, the kind who turn grace into a project and God into a performance review. That's what it feels like. But when you look at Jesus, okay, like when you really look at him, as you watch his life through the Gospels, he's not stressed, right? He's not hurrying. He's not preaching about 5 steps to spiritual transformation or setting up, what's been labeled church or telling us to do so. He's not offering spiritual disciplines, right? I could keep going down the list here. He's eating, drinking, laughing, walking, resting, and then somehow in all of that, revealing a peace the rest of us are dying for. So this book, it's not a set of lessons, okay? It's not a how-to book. It's actually a jailbreak, right? Yeah. It's a jailbreak, wrestling faith loose from those joyless hustlers that turn it into homework. It's an invitation to see what Jesus saw, so you can finally live like the freedom was yours all along. All right? Now, that said, if you get a copy next week, not presuming here, just hoping, I should say, if you grab a copy next week or a few, as you share the link and invite others to do the same, you're going to see that All A Lark doesn't begin with information, okay? It actually opens with an invitation. You'll find in chapter one that the last thing I'm doing is offering a new strategy. Instead, I'm telling a story, one that kicks off where most of ours do, in exhaustion, confusion, and a bar with real people. So, to celebrate this upcoming launch, I'm going to read the first chapter for you, okay? Because this is where everything cracked open for me and for my friend Dwayne. So, here we go, my friends. Chapter 1 of All A Lark, read to you by the author. Chapter one's title: Lights, Beers, and Fighting Tears. Here we go. For years, I was terrified of the thought. I can't do it anymore. But on a cold December night in Chicago, that thought stopped being a threat and became a foregone conclusion. Something had to give. Now. It was a Thursday in 2013 when the phone rang. Dwayne, a regular at our church, a regular at our neighborhood pub. Hey Russ, it's late, but I need to talk. Can you walk down to Gio's for a beer? Gio's was the kind of bar where the wood was older than your grandfather's recliner, and the air carried the faintest scent of spilled drinks and second chances. Dwayne and I had sat in the booths plenty of times, untangling the mysteries of this thing we call faith. Dwayne had done everything by the book, the church book, that is. Attended every service, got the degree, married the right girl, climbed the ladder, managed his money, was kind to his neighbors, generous to strangers, and disciplined in all things. The man drank water like a fish and fasted like a monk. If self improvement were a sport, he'd have shelves lined with medals. But, like all of us, Dwayne had his skeletons. He just knew how to keep his closet doors shut better than most. Until, of course, he didn't. Until the week his well maintained image crumbled under the weight of an exposed secret. The kind of revelation that makes you question everything you know. The God Dwayne had been banking on was loving, sure, but also perpetually unimpressed. Faith, in his world, was about trusting God. But, of course, trust without toil wasn't real faith. It had to be proven, measured, graphed, upward and to the right. That was the deal. Be like Jesus. Think like Jesus. Act like Jesus. It was a belief I shared. Worse, it was a belief I had preached, defended, and reinforced as his pastor. Sitting at Gio's that night, Dwayne unraveled. His secret was out. His wife knew. His carefully built scaffolding of self-discipline had collapsed, and with it, the man he worked so hard to be. He wasn't afraid of getting caught anymore. Its ship had sailed. What he feared now was something worse, something deeper, quieter, and far more haunting. The suspicion that all the effort, all the devotion might not have amounted to much after all. So he did what desperate, well-trained Christians do. He searched for the fix. If God is so powerful, why do I still struggle with this? Seriously, what am I doing wrong? Is it my prayer life? Do I need to fast more? Is there a better Bible reading plan? Russ, what do you think about starting an accountability group? Yeah, I'd heard it all before. But as the words tumbled out, I felt something shift in me. The usual reflex, the one that tells you to tighten the bolts, double down, offer a better strategy. It didn't kick in. Instead, I stared past Dwayne, past the flickering Christmas lights strung half-heartedly from the ceiling, past the smudged window where snowflakes fell under the street lights. Counting crows played over the speakers. Round here, we're carving out our names. Round here, we all look the same. As the song played, I thought about the meaning behind the lyrics as explained by the songwriter Adam Duritz. In his words, you're told as a kid that if you do these things, fill in the blank, it will all add up to something. And for me and the character in the song, they didn't add up. That was Dwayne's story. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something deeper than sympathy, solidarity. Because this wasn't just Dwayne's story, it was mine too. Not the one I used in sermons, the past tense, look what God did version. No. No, this was my present tense, still figuring it out version. The version where every intent, thought, word, and deed felt like a test. Where faith wasn't just trust in who Jesus already is for me, but a treadmill. Always running, never arriving. And suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about Dwayne's struggle. It was about mine. The unspoken pressure to make faith work, to keep the machine running, to ensure that at the end of the day, things added up. That's leadership, right? Find the problem, provide the solution. Except this time was different. Because after 15 years of ministry, I finally hit a moment where I didn't have a solution. I'd hit this wall before, of course, but I'd always manage a workaround, a slight pivot, a renewed commitment to the same playbook. Not this time. This wasn't about fine tuning or minor renovations. This was a demolition. Because the faith I'd known, the faith I'd spend my life defending, was a two-way street marked by expectations and determination. Upward and to the right, growth as the goal, transformation as the proof. And suddenly, for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure I believed in it anymore. The weight of it all was as crushing as it was clarifying, like waking up from a dream only to realize the dream was real. Something had to give, and give it did through the most unforeseen discovery. Yeah. There it is, my friends. Chapter 1. Lights, Beers, and Fighting Tears. A real, true, real, yeah, real life story from a night at Geo's that changed everything for me. Not because I figured something out, but because something finally fell apart. Yeah, it's crazy when you say it out loud. The version of faith that I had that that kept me striving, measuring, and pretending, I couldn't I couldn't hold it anymore. And here's what I've learned since then. Jesus didn't come to hand us a better version of that same system. According to him, he actually came to blow it up. Yeah. That's what his parables are. They're they're like divine demolition projects. They're not moral fables or life lessons or principles to follow, right? They're not like how-to guides for being a better person or bringing or building the kingdom of God as we've heard so many times and sadly as I've taught for years. They're actually just stories about what God is actually like. Yeah. Yeah, instead of rules to keep, they're windows to see through. And when you see through them, you start to notice that you start to notice what Jesus was revealing. That you don't have to climb a ladder to find God. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, what you're going to find is him sitting at the bottom, wondering why we've been climbing at all. You're also going to find that the only thing keeping most of us from the freedom that we see in Jesus, the freedom that we ache for, the thing that we were created to live and walk in, as Galatians says, the thing we were set free for, right? What's keeping us from that freedom is the illusion that we still have something to prove, right? That's the ride this book takes you on. Uh, through a few real life stories and a look at a number of passages that have just been misrepresented for centuries, and then on to a journey through a number of parables, one at a time. Yeah. Not to teach you how to live, okay, to be clear, but to show you the God who's already living in you, the one who isn't waiting for your faith to get stronger, just your trust to get simpler. Yeah. If that resonates, okay, if you're ready to stop chasing and start seeing, grab a copy of All A Lark next Tuesday, October 14th. Again, available anywhere in the world on Amazon. And please, pretty please, leave a good review as soon as you can. Yeah. Yeah, even if you have to lie. Jesus will forgive you. but but seriously, those reviews that you leave, um, the shares, right? The That's how together we can get this gift of relief to more people. So, yeah, leave a good review. Again, it'll be available on Amazon next week, right? Tuesday, October 14th. You can also access it at larksite.com. If that's easier, the link will be there. And on a serious note, if this episode, it's a short one, but just wanted to just drop a little more info and just let you hear a little taste of what's in this gem. If it stirred something in you, share it. Seriously. Because odds are you know a Dwayne, someone quietly drowning in their own religious effort, no matter what that religion looks like, because it's everywhere right now, right? It's in right. There's a religion of sports. There's a religion of politics, business, family, health, relationships. Religion is anything we use to justify ourselves, to prove our enoughness. And we live in a weary world that's drowning in it. So seriously, if you know someone who's in that place right now, who just needs to hear that maybe, just maybe, grace was never a starting point. It was actually the whole point, the very life that we've been given. Pass this on to them. Yeah. I'm equally excited as I am terrified for what's coming, but hopeful in it. So, yeah. Thanks for listening, my friends. Until next time, peace.